Hello everyone, back at it again, and this time I've got my tin rig out. That is a 16-foot aluminum fisher. And I've got a Maxim trolling motor on the bow. Helps if you pull the release mechanism first before trying to pull it up. But yeah, this is my big boat. It's not a very big boat by bass boat standards. It's only 16 feet. Has a 9.9 horsepower engine on it, but compared to my crawdad or the kayak, it absolutely flies. So what I'm going to do is use the bow mount foot control there. The way it works is you see that little yellow arrow on top of the trolling motor. You use your foot to make sure that arrow is pointed in the direction that you want to go. That's the easiest way to explain it. And you can adjust the speed and etc. But basically you just want that arrow pointed where you want to go. But today I thought we'd do something a little different. I want to talk about the top 5 bass lures of 2023. And this is hard for me because I have a lot of lures. And the first category we're going to talk about is Topwater. And I've got some Yozuri Pencil 100s and 3DRs. That's the gizzard shad color. You can see the hook rash on it on the side. Caught a lot of fish on that bait, and I replaced those trebles with Owner ST36 number 2s. It'll take a number 2 treble. And yeah, that's the 3DR version. I just got that bait this fall, and I haven't really thrown it that much, but that's Zara Spook Boyo. That's the little guy, and I added a little feathered treble on the back just to keep the nose from diving. With the feathered treble, it really helped balance out that bait. These one knockers are great too. I have a bunch of different colors. It's kind of a smoky bone color. I forget the actual name. That color is called tilapia, and I throw it anywhere that I'm fishing around bluegill. I don't have tilapia around me, but to me it looks sort of like a bluegill. There's a lot of baits to choose from, and I'm trying to narrow it down to my favorite. It's hard for me. Those are Super Spook Juniors. Those are also excellent. I got a box here, mostly old Vixens. These are the original Vixens. That one's a bluegill color. I just keep adding, go over it with a Sharpie and mark it up again. Put those bars back on it. The new ones, they have this, you can tell right away the new ones, the eyelet on the nose, it sticks out about 1/8 of an inch further than the original. I don't know if the fish can tell, but I can tell, and it might walk just a little differently, but both are excellent. And now I've got a bin of Whopper Ploppers and Choppos. The Whopper Plopper has that kind of soft plopper tail. And the Chopo has a hard tail. The Chopo is a little louder. Both are great baits. They are very similar in size. There might be a few millimeters difference between them. That bone color of the Chopo is also excellent. Comes with good fusion trebles. It's good to fish right out of the box. Anything in that 110, 120, 105 size. 130 size is kind of my go-to. That's a bluegill, a ghost bluegill. That's good for clear water. And that last one is a Maverick Chopo. I've done really well on this. But my favorite, if I had to pick one out of all these Topwaters, is that loon-colored Whopper Plopper. And I think it's the 110 size. Chopo 105 is also a very good bait. You can see the hook rash on there on the side. I actually found the Whopper Plopper, and I thought it might have some good mojo. I replaced the treble hooks and the split rings, and I caught a lot of bass on that bait this year. So if I could only have one, that would be it for Topwater. It's really tough for me to pick one, but that would be it. Next up, we got some frogs. And that is a painted frog, trophy frog, and that's new moon color of the scum frog, and that is the launch frog. All these are great frogs. The launch frog actually has a tungsten belly weight, casts even further. There's a frog with a popping mouth. There's another one of those launch frogs. And you run just a little bead of super glue on the back of that little button there, and you won't have any trouble. That is a Strike King pad perch in a bluegill color. A lot of times people are throwing frogs, but I think you're probably imitating bluegill a lot of the time. So I fish a lot of bluegill colors. I fish that's a little Kyara frog. I don't like that as much as some of the bigger frogs. It doesn't come through cover great, but for sparse stuff it's okay. And on the opposite end of the spectrum, that's the Spro King Daddy frog. That's a full 1 ounce. Again, I run super glue around that button there in the back, no problems. But if you're around big fish, you should throw that King Daddy frog. That's a River to Sea Bullywah, again in a bluegill pattern. It's kind of a harder plastic. I don't love that frog, but it's okay. That's a Jackal Gavacho. It's a popping frog, walks great, casts great. That's a Booyah frog. And you see how far those hooks come out? I really don't throw this one a lot because it snags everything. Lily pads, wood. But if you were in really open water, I guess you could throw it. That's a River to Sea live target. It's got a vicious bend on those hooks. It's another good frog. I was digging through it, trying to find a few of my favorites. And I got 2 of them. I'm going to narrow it down, though. I won't cheat. As far as toads go, the old standard used to be the Zoom horny toad. And it was nothing for me to go through a pack of these in a day. I could go through them fishing the river in the afternoon. I go through a pack of those easy in a day. And now I fish almost exclusively these goat toads, these Z-Man goat toads if I want a toad style frog. That's the deal color. It's got some blue in it. If I'm around bluegill, I might throw on a color with some blue, but black's probably my all-around favorite there. But if I could only have one out of these 3, notice they're all in black. It's probably my favorite color. If I was kayak fishing the scum frog, trophy frog in the new moon color, that would be it. The goat toads in sparse weeds, early spring, it's just deadly. But if I could only have one, it would be that Z-Man leapfrogs. And it walks great. It has those little ridges above the hooks, so the hooks are kind of recessed and protected by those ridges. And it comes through everything really well. The plastic's a little stiffer than the scum frog, so you could boil them or you can just fish them until they soften up. But if I could only have one, that would be it. Be the leapfrogs. Alright, next up we've got crankbaits, and these are small crankbaits. That's the Rapella Brat crankbait in the carbon color. That's a great bait for clear water. And the nice thing about the Brat, in terms of little square bills, is they have 2 diving depths. And it's kind of rare, but they have a shallow running and a deep running square bill. And both are excellent. That's a Man's Baby 1-, the old style. I love those baits. I'm running out of my originals, and the new ones I don't think perform as well. But what I've found, if I can get some of these baits to come apart from each other, is that this Yozuri Wake crank is, I would say, as good or better than the Baby 1-, and that is high praise from me. I have 2 of them in this box, and every other one is a unique lure, and that's because if I lose one, I don't want to be without. And they're having a sale at Tackle Warehouse, and I got one in every color, just so if they discontinue this bait, I'd have at least one. It's kind of a black pearl with an orange belly. This one's a blue and chartreuse with a little hit of orange on the belly. That might be good in stained water, dirty water. There's that sexy shad color. Could be a bluegill, could be a herring. And then there's a bluegill color. Alright, moving right along here. Next up we've got Ned Rigs. And I've got a pile of different ones. I like testing a lot of different baits, and yeah, it kind of adds up, this fishing habit of mine. And I've fished all of these. There's a few new ones, like I haven't fished that Dual Realis one yet. The X-Zones are great. The Roboworms are great. I like the Ned floater, the Yami Ned floater, specifically in that electric shad color. But of all of these, if I could only have one, it'd be the Hula Sticks on a weedless Arsenal Tackle 3/0 1/10 ounce tungsten jig head. And there's a Savage salamander, I think it is, or a lizard. And that's on a 2/0 hook, but it's the same thing. And I add a little fluorocarbon keeper to it to keep that bait up on the hook. So those two are kind of my top two, and I really like both of them specifically on that weedless hook. I don't like them as much on a standard open hook Ned Rig jig head, but on that weedless hook, oh my goodness, they're dynamite. And I don't know if that hook makes them stand up more, but the fish really seem to like them. They come through cover. That's a big TRD. That's a little different than a Hula Sticks. That Dual Realis I haven't fished yet, but that orange color I think is going to slay. Electric shad, anytime you're around herring, that's a great color, especially if the fish are busting herring and the herring are kind of floating to the bottom. That's a perch color, also excellent. What's that? Hot snakes, that's a big TRD. I fished that on a weedless Neko rig. Another Hula Sticks bag that's called Drew's Craw. Roboworm, they have some nice colors. I haven't fished them too much. They're not as durable as some of the Z-Man stuff or the Savage gear. But if I could only have one, it would be that Hula Sticks on the weedless hook. And that is the Canada Craw color, but that Drew's Craw color is great. Some of the brighter colors are great. And specifically on that weedless hook. That's my number one. If I could only have one, it would be that bait in that color on that jig head. And I can fish that all year. Alright, next up, soft plastic jerk baits. There's Super Flukes, there's Bass Assassins, there's small ones, there's large ones. And it's another category that did really well for me in 2023. And it's also very hard for me to pick just one bag of these. That's a Zoom Super Fluke and Disco Violet. Anytime you've got bright sun and clear water, that's usually where I start. It's kind of translucent. It's got a little bit of purple flake. Oh boy, this is a tough one for me. This is a color called Albino, and I like this in cloudy conditions. Doesn't have any flake. If you're around herring and you've got clouds and no sun, that's where I start. And if I could only have one, I don't know, it might not be this one, but in the Zoom Super Fluke, the electric shad color will cover you if it's cloudy, if it's sunny. That's a very good all-around color. On my little BFS rod, the Jenko Double Down rod, I did great on these Super Fluke Juniors. That watermelon red color really seemed to do well on smallmouth when I ran into them, and they weren't herring lakes, you know, so they'd be feeding on perch or. But for herring lakes, the albino color was excellent. A lot of times they stop hitting the bigger fluke, they get a few more on the junior, or if they're keyed on really small bait. Yeah, those two out of that whole bag, definitely on the smaller side. And then the KVD Caffeine Shad and Caffeine Shad Junior. These are really versatile baits. They're not super durable, but they are heavy for their size, so they cast well. But what really sets them apart is that they have a little bit of a flutter on the fall, a little bit of a shimmy on the fall. So you can fish them fast, you can fish them slow. And that's a color called Ghost Shad. It's a great color in clear water, bright sun. The other color was KVD Magic. It's kind of a bluegill imitator, but it could also be a bait fish. This color is called Blue Glimmer. Very similar to albino, but yeah, just a good all-around bait fish color. I think that's a larger size of the Ghost Shad. Another great bait for clear water, bright sun. And this is tough for me to pick just one. I'd really like to have all of them. But if I could only have one, it would be a Caffeine Shad in some bait fish color that could also be a bluegill. So that Blue Glimmer color is a great one. The KVD Magic's also a great one. And you can fish this slow, you can fish it fast. Super versatile bait, and that's why it comes out on top for me. But really close with the Zoom Super Fluke and Electric Shad. Alright, swim baits. I've fished a lot of swim baits, different sizes. It's not on the deck right now, but the Z-Man Shad Fries was great for smaller fish. This is a 5-inch spark shad. A lot of people throw the 3-inch on like a Okashira head or a little screw head or ball head. But the 5-inch is a great bait too, and it's a pretty good value. You get, I don't know, 5 baits. These are B5 and B6 swimmers by Big Bite Baits. Great bait. You can fish them on lighter line. I switch out that treble, but great baits. That's a 7-inch Zaldane Dangerous bait. It's sort of like a Mega Bass Freestyle. It's just a little bit bigger in the 7-inch size. But you can fish it pretty fast. You can fish it slow. You can add a little stinger hook on it. These Savage Bluegills, especially on sale, are great baits. You can run them with a top hook or a belly hook. They're a little bit more stable with a belly hook, but I feel like they come through weeds better with the top hook. And they look super realistic. On the bottom, the pumpkin seed color is an orange belly and the bluegill is a white belly. And these are X-Zone Swammers. These are the mini swammers. They're a little bit more durable than Kitex. They have a good wobble, reeling them in on a slow retrieve, in addition to that tail kick. Alright, there's a ton of great baits here. But if I could only have one, you're looking at it, it's the Reaction Innovation Skinny Dipper. And that is the smoke grape color. I think it's a great herring imitator. Do really well with that color. I have a couple bags of them. And there's a few other colors that I like. There's that sungill color. Could be a bluegill, could be a perch. This is a green pumpkin swirl. Sometimes the bluegill have this really dark appearance in the water. That's another good color. This color is called Lab Rat. It doesn't have the flake that the smoke grape color has, and I think it's good for cloudy days on a herring lake. And you can either fish these on a weedless EWG spring lock style hook, or you can fish them weightless, which is my preferred way to fish it, on an Owner 4/0 twist lock CPS hook. And then I add a red stinger hook to the belly, and I put a little, like, I don't know what you call it, like a safety harness of 20-pound fluoro to make sure that treble doesn't fly off. So there you have it. Those are my top 5 baits of 2023. Just got that motor going. It was giving me a little bit of trouble. It hasn't been running a while, so I had to really yank on that pull string. But I got it going now. And my 16-foot Fisher, it's such a light boat that a 10 horsepower engine, it really flies. I'm just getting going now, but Yeah, it's not a 150 horsepower or a quad 200 Mercs on the back like you see on some saltwater boats, but for my purposes, running around a pond or a lake, boy, this is nice. It's a little chilly right now, but still nice. Anyway, thank you all for watching. If you like this top 5 list, give it a like. Subscribe if you haven't already. And I wanted to say to all my subscribers, thank you very much. Really appreciate all your support. I've got a small channel. I'm trying to grow it. I've got a lot planned for 2024. And if half of it works out, it'll be a good time. So thanks again. I'll catch you on the next one. See ya!